Hello and welcome back to the channel. I recently found out that you can actually play variants on Lichess, and after a quick game of 3 check, one of you confirmed that there are percentile rankings for variants. So today, I'm going to try to get into the top 1% of Lichess 3 check players. Let's get started with game number 1. Alright, game number 1, we get the black pieces against a 2000 rated opponent. Now, I am technically rated 1951, but it does have that question mark because it is a provisional rating. So it doesn't actually bear any weight. I only have 2 games under my belt, and this rating is bound to fluctuate by a significant amount depending on how I do in these games. We get knight to f3. Let's go knight to f6. I think this is what I styled in the chess.com episode of this. But the difference is on chess.com, I don't believe there are percentiles for variants. There's just leaderboards, but on Lichess, there are percentiles. So we'll play a6 here, boot the bishop, which is why I'm excited to try and hunt them down. Okay, do I take with this pawn and expose the king a little bit? No, I'm going to play this safe. It's too early and it's been a minute since I've played 3 check for me to start with these shenanigans. Okay, let's go d6 next to try and at least fight for the center space. Also, I bit my tongue earlier, so sorry if it sounds like I'm chewing on something. It's probably me biting down on my own tongue by accident. Anyways, we get d4. I guess, they're definitely looking for e5, and it's actually quite scary here. Should I take? They take back. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but I'd like to be ready to castle out of the way if it does become a problem. Yeah, we do get e5. We'll go ahead and trade. I think that's fine. Centralize the knight, and suddenly castling isn't really a priority anymore because the queens aren't on the board. There's not that trade on d8 that gives a check. Yeah, so we do get knight to e4, which is fine. If they want to sack for a check, I don't think that's the end of the world. I will castle out of the way anyways just to connect the rooks. And then I need to decide where I want to put this bishop, although I think the natural square is b7, where I can push the pawn and that bishop has a future on the long diagonal, as opposed to on d7, where after c4, I would lose the bishop right behind the knight. But we get c4 anyways, so I guess he's gonna have to go. Knight b4 is a little bit risky because of a3. I have knight c2 to follow, rook to b1. Does that knight escape? I don't really want to find out, so I'm gonna move the knight back to b6. Just target the pawn on c4, and always move back to d5 if c5 is played. I'm down to a minute 24, so I do need to pick up the pace here, like, substantially. Sure, we'll play, I guess, bishop b7. Again, looks a little bit silly here, but after c5, eventually it will have scope. And this is, by the way, a 3-0 game, so you start with 3 minutes, and that's all you get. There's no increment, there's no delay, there's no funny business. We'll fight for the open file here, obviously with this rook, not with this one, otherwise there would be check on that capture. So making sure to use the right rook here will challenge for the open file. You'd imagine just rook back. Do I sack the pawn? Do I move the knight back? I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do there. Oh, we get the capture. So that's check almost mate, but they do move the rook back. If I play knight d7, I lose control over the open file. So I'm gonna move my rook into the position first and then reroute the knight. We're managing to even out the time situation, which is really important here. We get, ooh, knight c5. Oh, with the fork. Oh, that's brutal. Maybe the time situation wasn't my biggest problem after all. Oh my goodness, yeah, that's killer. Okay, rook to d7. I have no choice but to try and thug this out. Maybe they'll take the rook instead and we just lose the exchange instead of an entire piece. But they do take the bishop. Okay, we'll go g6, so there's an escape square for the king, and then this rook can operate freely. You guys have seen me do this on the channel before, and of course, it is not the prettiest way to win a game of chess, but we're going to now try and force the opponent to prove that they can win the game. They have this pretty easy pawn promotion idea, which would be quite difficult for me to stop. So I'm just going to place the knight on a8 and sort of hope for the best. If we do get a6, I might even move the knight out of the way and try to lure them into promoting so I can sack and then have rook to d1. I'll have this move pre-moved, but you'd imagine they just make an escape square for the king, and then I have to go back to blocking. Okay, we'll go here. Totally fine with losing a check. If it means I get the piece back, and they're now down to 20 seconds. So we'll just push. If they do want to sack, that's totally fine. King to h6, we're literally just stuffing him into a corner and trying to make sure that he doesn't get into any trouble. I guess we do have to sacrifice here, and we'll cover the check that the rook can potentially give. Sure. Oh, we're almost zigzwanged here and out of moves. Oh, I think I might be actually completely zigzwanged here. Oh, very nice find by the opponent. Yeah, there are only 2 checks left to my king, and I don't think there's anything I can do about it. Wow, that's a beautiful position. g5, I lose to this. I mean, I guess I'll play here, but there's rook to h8, and then the recaptures of the third and final check. Yeah, beautiful game by the opponent. You can see we lose 84 points of rating, even though they're actually 100 points higher rated than we are, because I do still have that provisional rating. But we'll dive right into the next game. All right, and we do get paired again, now with that brutal brutal warm-up by the first opponent. We'll be way more careful with those silly tactics. Start with knight to f3. This is one of the few variants that I do prefer e4 because I think the advantage you get from playing it is so substantial that you can't justify playing d4. We'll go ahead and give up the bishop and then centralize the knight. I do enjoy playing for these ideas, but most of these opponents are capable of sort of getting out of that relatively quickly. Yeah, we get knight to f6 and they're already ready to castle. So we'll just play d3. I don't have to play anything out of this world. And I'm also going to monitor the time situation a little bit more closely this time. b5 is interesting. We'll go ahead and pin the knight. Threatens e5, which would win a piece, right? The bishop goes back to e7. It's really strange to me that they haven't elected to castle yet, but somehow that doesn't actually impact my position at all. So I'm just going to focus on bringing the rooks towards the center, grabbing a little bit of extra space, and basically give them the chance to castle. If they don't, then I'm going to line up my entire army against this sort of centralized king. Okay, we will boot the knight. The knight does have to find somewhere else to loiter, unfortunately. I can't entertain the enemy pieces on my side of the board. So again, we're just centralizing the pieces. d4, e5, d5, any combination of those pushes is probably favorable. d4 even more so now. If we get c5, it weakens d5, so we can occupy that square. Right, and we do finally get castles, just in time for us to get that central break. Again, still up on time. I'll have to be careful of any crazy sacrificing ideas, but I think we should be okay. Yeah, knight to h5, here they come. We'll take, right? We take knight to f4. What should my level of concern be there? Queen to f3? I don't think I should really be concerned there. I think I can just take. Hitting the knight with the discovered attack, of course we get knight to f4. Queen to f3? I don't know. It might be justified, but I'm willing to play into it. Sure, they take with the first. Oh, that's brilliant. I can't take back because of queen to g5, and they can sack the queen for the last check. So even though it looks horrendous and I'm already down a check, I do have to move the king out of the way. Yeah, I'm just not playing aggressively enough, I think. I'm letting the opponent organize their pieces, and I even explicitly said I'm just going to give them the chance to castle. There was really no reason for me to do that. Pawn to b4 is super amusing. Not really sure what it's getting at. Knight to e2, we'll just reroute this way, maybe try and trade off the attacking knight. I mean, you'd imagine they're looking for like a6, bishop to a6. Now that the knight controls g1, that's what I'd imagine is happening. They are down to 50 seconds, but we already know that when you only have 2 checks to your name, you cannot underestimate the opponent. Okay, the knight goes to g5, sure. Queen to h5 to follow. I just want to have some sort of threat, even if it's loosey-goosey. I just want to have something lined up, something for the opponent to fear. Okay, they're threatening to deliver another check. There's not really anything I can do about that, unless I just want to move my king out of the way, in which case the knight would probably sack. I don't know, I think it's my best shot. Okay, queen to f6, sure. Targeting f2. What if I go here? I do have to be careful. The opponent only needs 2 more checks to win, but they are down to 23 seconds. 22 now, that's another check right there. Will there be a check to follow? I don't really want to find out. I'm just going to move my king out of the way. Now down to 15, and I've saved up, I think, enough time that none of these combination of moves should really be a concern. I can go ahead and take. If they take back, I take this. Sure, this is fine. They're now down to 10 seconds. Okay, knight back. Rook to e6. It's very, very sketch, but I'm holding on somehow. Pawn to h5, you'd imagine I take. Rook to e8. I mean, they have 3 seconds. How can I possibly fumble this? f4? Yeah, and we do flag the opponent and get 70 rating points back. Honestly, not a convincing game at all, but we do manage to run away with the victory. You can see we still have the provisional ratings, so let's go ahead and queue up again. All right, game number 3, we get the black pieces again. We are back over 1900, which is nice, but we still have that provisional rating. Oh, and I've just noticed this opponent is rated 2200, so we should be in for a very interesting game. Okay, they're playing this variation, or sure b3, a variation of the variation. I think I can just play aggressively. Normally, if they seize the center, I have no issues with, or rather, normally if they fail to seize the center, I have no issue with doing it myself. All that extra space, you'd imagine, just gives me more options in the future when I want to lean into basically any sort of attack. In fact, I'm going to throw h5 their way right now, and if they don't play h4, which 2200, of course they do, then I would be looking for h4 myself. Play queen to e7. Let's play a6. Don't want that to be an idea later. It would also really be nice to get a sacrifice here. It's just kind of hard to see how to go about that. I think this is necessary. It does a couple of things. 1, the c pawn becomes free, which means I can line up this battery, and 2, knight to f5 becomes available. I'm just noticing they might just be thinking about long castles, so I'm going to play c5 and just sort of wave a stick in their general direction and hope to ward them off from castling this way. Instead, I want them to castle this way, and then I can take this stick that I've waved in their face aggressively and actually still use it to my advantage and play queen c7 and line up that sacrifice on g3. And these are the kind of aggressive ideas that, to be frank, I should have been looking for in the first 2 games, but I just didn't. We do get a4, we'll play queen c7 anyways. I mean, even if they don't castle, if I can play knight to f5 and sack the bishop to drop the knight there and have a fork on the queen and the rook, that's so exciting and gangster that I'd go for it anyways. Okay, king to d1. Obviously trying to get out of the way of the sacrifice, but also lining up on the d file. So I actually don't have anything against long castles, just because of the sheer mass of pieces that I have on the queen side. I don't think I'm in danger of ever getting checked, and it puts me in the steering wheel in terms of when is the center going to get opened and when is that king on d1 going to get exposed, which is obviously my ultimate goal. We'll play bishop to c6, and then I think king to b8 will be necessary, right, because of knight to b6. I guess I could just take too, but then I lose this pretty nice bishop. I guess you can't hold on to everything, so we will take it. I just don't want that knight on b6 staring down my position. We'll play knight to c6 ourselves. I'll look for d4. Bishop does go to f1, so they're looking to sack here. I really don't think that's a fear of mine at all. I'm gonna move the king out of the way so there's no bonus check. I'm not here to hand out bonus checks to my opponent, neither of the monetary nor king's kind, but we do get king to c1 here. Eventually, if we trade everything off, my queen ends up on e5, and I'm looking into their position, even though it's covered by the rook right now. It could become weak later, which is kind of nice. Okay, the king shuffles over even more. Okay, fair enough. Let's go ahead and take, and then knight here, and then definitely this 2200 will not notice the queen fork on d2. Surely they won't notice. Oh, the 2200 did notice. How did this happen? All right, you'd imagine bishop here. Again, I do want to centralize my queen still. If we ever get d3, I can support knight to c3, checking every part of white's position. We do get rook to a2. I can take the initiative on trading. I guess that's fine. Oh, I should have taken this pawn. What am I doing? Oh, I was so tunnel visioned on centralizing the queen. I totally just free pawn not taken. Again, obviously the opponent wants to trade off my knight because it just looks kind of scary. I guess I'll grab my free check. Might as well grab my free check, put that king in a little bit of danger. Not to mention now the pawn falls. Retribution. Let's go ahead and take it. How much should I fear this and then a sacrifice? Probably more than I am, right? You'd imagine if I take, they'd play rook to a2. I guess there's no sacrifice though, because the queen always goes back and sees a6. Queen to f3. Oh, looking for f7. You sneaky opponent. Oh, and queen to f4 is a free check. Oh man, well that sucks. That stinks. And I have 35 seconds. All right, well, queen to c7. Defend this, defend that. Now what are you gonna do about it? Yeah, I'm down to 33 seconds. I might have to shut my trap here in a second and actually focus. Oh, good check by the opponent. Oh, and rook to a6 takes the W, or queen sacrifice, yeah. I was trying to pre-move there because I was really low on time. I mean, to be fair, the opponent played amazing too. They were also very much pressed for time, but they managed to sneak away with this little lineup, which was a very nice find. All right, we'll go ahead and queue up again. Okay, so I just realized that there was a tournament going on, a 3-check tournament. Oh, and the opponent has decided to berserk. I have no choice but to berserk right back to him. It's the only fair thing to do. And that's why a lot of people weren't actually looking for games, is because there is a 3-check tournament going on, so obviously people won't be pairing for that. Okay, this seems to be a trappy line, trying to get rid of this knight. Oh, they uncover the king. Okay, sure. Check number 1, and check number 2, I suppose. Oh, and one more check loses me the game? Wow, that's a really tough one to fight against. I don't think I can hold on to this. Knight comes out to play. You'd imagine I take, but then queen takes d5, wins them the game. Wow, that's an insane line. I mean, well played to the opponent. I'll go ahead and queue up for the tournament again, but I'm getting mollywopped at the moment. All right, paired again with a 1200 rated opponent. Okay, I cannot lose this one. I've already been moved down to 1832, but definitely I have check number 1, and I'll sack anything for check number 2, bring the queen out for check number 3, right? Check number 3 wins us the game, and 8 points of rating, which is really not all that much. You know what, if they have another one, because it is an hourly 3-check arena, if they have another one right after this, maybe I can play that one and try to actually place. But really what I'm trying to do is get that question mark off of my rating so I can actually see what percentile I sit at the moment. Okay, we might actually not get paired again. As you can see, there are a whole bunch of people that have paused their status in the actual tournament, which means they won't get paired because we're down to the last 2 minutes of the tourney. So I'll go ahead and do the same thing, but what I will do is join the next hourly arena. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. The next hourly through check arena is not until 8 p.m., but okay, let's do this. We'll play one more normal game and we'll call it a day for this episode. You'd imagine more people would be flooding to the normal playing pool, considering that arena is just about done. All right, and we were paired relatively quickly. So we have a 1700 rated opponent who does start with e4. We get knight to f3, sure, knight to c6. What I remember from the first time that we did an episode of 3 check is that really the goal is get the knights out really quickly. Obviously don't get checked in any silly way, and then use your pawns to advance into the center. So that's what we're going to try to be doing. Now in that first tournament game where I got absolutely destroyed by the player with the white pieces, I did play bishop to e7 a little bit too quickly without stopping knight to g5, which is a problem because normally the queen can go to e7 and protect f7 in the event of a capture. We do get pawn takes. Do I take with the knight or with the queen? The queen just looks like so much more fun. We'll take with the queen. We have check on e4. We could even sack the queen for a second check, and I think we're in business at that point. So you'd imagine bishop e2, yeah, something like that is forced. Let's go bishop d6. There's a sacrifice on h2 if they're in any hurry to castle. Bishop to g5 looks to remove the knight. I think I'm going to encourage that because then I can get the rook on the g file, and that's even scarier for that king on g1. Queen to b3 looks to trade off the queens, which would make the attack way less potent. So I think I will have to gently turn that down with queen to e4, centralizing the queen. And what I really need is just one extra tempo to play rook to g8. Once I can target that pawn, I think my attack is in business. Okay, knight to d2. You'd imagine we have to move the queen out of the way again. So queen to f4, I guess is fine. If this battery on h2, you'd imagine the opponent wants to castle long, so I'm also going to line up this idea. Don't think it's worth the sacrifice, but it could cause the opponent some complications. Ooh, d5 going immediately for the center break. Okay, I think I'm willing to sacrifice. Don't really have a choice, to be honest. Can't move the knight or else queen to b5 or bishop to b5 would have been possible. Had I taken, it would have opened up the center, and that just looks really scary. So bishop to d7, trying to get the pieces out and come up with an attack of my own seems more reasonable. Okay, queen takes b7, obviously targets the rook. Rook to b8, giving up a check but winning the queen, or at least exchanging it for a rook seems very advantageous. So queen to a6 is honestly what I expect to see on the board, and then I'll play knight to e5. Okay, the opponent's now down to 25 seconds. Even if they get 2 checks on my king, they have less than 20 seconds to come up with an actual attack. So they do take. I'm going to take the queen. Pawn takes with check number 1. I'm actually just going to move the king out of the way. If I take, I allow check number 2 for no reason. Not to mention they have a light squared bishop. I have a king on a dark square. I genuinely think I have nothing to fear here. Okay, knight here means I can sack for check number 1. Bishop to f4 is check number 2. Actually, I just realized the rook was winning, but I didn't play that, and it didn't matter because white resigned anyways. All right, with that, we do win that game. We're almost back to 1900. Don't know if I still have a question mark on my rating. I sure do. All right, and I've played 26 games. Holy smokes. But again, oh, wait a minute, that's chess 960. Hold on, I've only played 8 games of 3 check with a rating deviation of 140. And again, because it is provisional, it does not give me a percentile ranking yet. So let's go and queue up again. All right, immediately paired. Don't mind if I do. E4 on the board. I know I said that last one was going to be the last game, but I really just want to get this question mark off my rating. Sure, same old developing moves as always. Ooh, can I do this to the opponent? That's what my opponent did to me last time, so I might as well try it on this opponent. Ooh, knight to e5 allows 1 check at the expense of sacrificing a piece. We'll see if I can justify that. We'll castle the king out of the way so he's not in the center, even though I sort of give up a check as well. Get bishop to d6, looking to stare down this diagonal and cause me issues. So you'd imagine king to h1 is reasonable. Knight to g4. I think I just need to go for the counter attack. I defend the knight by discovery. I target this knight, which defends f7. I don't want to play defensive. I've already learned that playing defensive usually ends badly for me because I have to somehow predict all of the possible ways for the opponent to attack, and that immediately puts me at a disadvantage. So I would much rather attack the opponent and have them have to figure out all the possible ways that I can attack them. Okay, they sack on h2, obviously wanting me to take so they can get the double check on f3. No such luck. We'll go ahead and take on e5. Bishop takes. You'd imagine I just take on f7. I only need 2 more checks, so check here and then sacking the queen is more than enough. I'm also threatening to check with the knight. Queen to h5 is a threat after I move the knight, so there are a lot of really good ideas there. I kind of wish there was somewhere that I could see how many checks were left. It doesn't seem like there is anywhere for me to keep track of that, unless I have that feature hidden somehow, but that wouldn't make any sense because I've never played here before. I mean, I guess you could make the argument that you have to keep track of how many checks you've gotten on your opponent, opponent, and I know that I've gotten exactly one, but that's only because it happened literally a couple of seconds ago. Okay, king over, I just take, surely, and then there's check here and check here as well. Right, I already have a check. I just need two more. It doesn't matter how they happen. It doesn't matter how much material I lose. If I get two more checks on the board, I win the game. Okay, king shuffles over again. Persistent king. How do I force this? Knight here, queen here. The problem is all these discovered attacks. How about knight d5? If queen to h4, knight to e7 forces the queen to take back, and I get this off my back. Obviously, if the pawn takes, queen takes with the check on the diagonal. Yeah, I can feel the juices flowing again. The attacking juices are once again moving around. Okay, the opponent under 30 seconds now. I mean, this is definitely one of those positions that I'm either forced winning or I'm forced losing. We're both in way too deep in the attack for this to be any sort of drawn position, so I don't blame them for using up until the last second to figure out how to get out of this. The king does take back. Now you'd imagine queen to h5 lures the king, and then I can always have the second and final check on f6. Should be pretty much no way to stop this, unless they want to, like, I don't know, sack the queen. Okay, they decided to time out instead, but we do get 46 points of rating. I'd imagine I still have a question mark. So 1927, still a provisional rating deviation of 130. My understanding is that once that rating deviation goes down under 110, you get the question mark off your name. Okay, John again. John and I are going back and forth today. We each have one victory under our belt, and Johan is watching. Thanks for watching my games, Johan. Maybe I should play this a little more reserved. I kind of want to play like bishop to e2, but I don't know. I liked the sacrifice we got last time. I have no fear of leaning into it again. I will play this though. I'm not going to play knight to g5. I'm pretty sure that was worse for me. The opponent just didn't know how to capitalize. Okay, I'll also castle here. I don't think maybe I should be afraid of this. Okay, well, fair enough. Good find. King to h2 or just g3, I guess. Both equally repulsive. Yeah, this allows h4. Opponent has a lot of really good attacking ideas here. I'll try to put them in an uncomfortable position of some kind. Bishop to e7. I guess I'll take and then take on c6. Right, this bishop does nothing, so I might as well trade it off for a knight that could become a problem later. Now h4 is the big issue that I'm dealing with. Okay, John says in chat you were losing. I suppose talking about the previous game. Well, I ended up winning, so the pawn takes back. I don't know why he's trying to trash talk me. I mean, normally I wouldn't take such personal offense to a message like that. I'm pretty sure they're just raging, so I understand the sentiment, but I'm gonna try to stay focused on the game. So h4 is the big issue I'm dealing with here. Do I place the knight on h4 or do I place the pawn on h4? Pawn on h4 seems risky, but I'm totally willing to lean into g5 if I can take with the knight. They'd have to back it up with a rook of some kind and sack the rook instead of the actual queen. Okay, we do get rook to h6, knight to g5 to follow. If I can get a sacrifice of my own on the board, that would be pretty darn amazing. Queen to f6, maybe a queen trade. I mean, I'm the one getting attacked here, so I would definitely be interested in trading queens. Great, we do get a queen trade. It's not like my position is suddenly amazing, but it's much better than it was when there were a bunch of queens on the board. So I'll offer another trade. I'd like to take with the king, get it off the file, and I like that the king side is sort of starting to close up a little bit. Okay, knight t5 looks for this free check, which I cannot allow, so king to g2. Obviously, if they want to sack a rook for a check, by all means, but they're looking to get on the long diagonal instead. Okay, let's go d4. If c5, d5, and I try to close up the long diagonal and get on an open file myself. Yeah, knight to g4 will go ahead and trade, then f3 probably just boots the rook. Again, they can still sacrifice, but a whole rook for one check doesn't really seem worth it, at least not yet, not in this position. Okay, the rook does go back. I will get it off my back though, so it's not available to them anymore. Right, and they do castle long, which makes a lot of sense. Let's go knight to a4, looking for knight c5. If I can draw out the king and get rid of that bishop, that would be pretty spectacular. So knight c5, not to mention there's sort of a check threat there. Ooh, we get f5, super aggressive. I will take right away. I think I'll try to ignore this to some extent. I don't know to what extent I can ignore it, but I will try to. Maybe e5 and then rook g1. It's pretty sketch. It's pretty darn bad looking, but it might be okay. Also, I'm down to 33 seconds, so I do need to focus up here. Free rook. Let's check number one. Oh, they only needed 2 more checks? Oh, I didn't realize they only needed 2 more checks. Oh, that was a good little trap there. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, I'm pretty used to playing on chess.com where you do get to see how many checks are left to go. So I'll be totally honest, I completely forgot that the opponent only needed 2 more checks. Okay, paired again against Angel this time. Also a relatively new player with a provisional rating. We'll play e6. We get knight to f3 on the board. We'll play knight c6, the usual opening. I like their little coconut flare. That's funny. Let's go knight to f6. d6. They go d4, we go d5, and play into the same usual lines. Ooh, bishop c4. You'd imagine maybe I can take and then sack the knight. d3, okay, definitely going to take and grab the 2 free checks, even though I lose 2 pieces for it. Oh, queen d2. Okay, do I pick up the rook or do I sacrifice on d3 for check number 1? Genuinely, I think I just sack. I'm just going to sacrifice for the first available check, and then I'll play here looking for the next 2. Okay, king castle's out of the way, which gives me another free check. I genuinely just need 1 more on the board. It doesn't matter how I get it. So I'm going to line up the queen here. If they get a discovered attack, that's check number 3, and it wins us the game. Okay, bishop g5. Let's maybe not lose the queen. Oh, is she trapped? My queen might already be trapped. That's so insane. Okay, but hear me out. Queen to g6. If the opponent takes, I take back with the pawn. And how do you stop me from giving this check? That looks pretty interesting. Well, maybe knight to h4 stops it. But it's a good attacking idea, I think. They're at least thinking about it. Yeah, they do take. I'll go ahead and take back. I guess knight to h4 does stop that idea. That's exactly what they play. Let's do... Oh, this is so scary. Rook takes f7. I'm just going to go b7. It's so slow, but I don't see anything better. Yeah, of course, rook takes f7. Immediately looking to sack. I'm just going to try to force my way into castling. Yeah, I'm going to take this way, and now I'm threatening the third and final check. And now I don't think there's a way to stop it. At least not, without losing a significant amount of material. Oh, the opponent proposes a take back. I'm sorry, but we're both fighting for rating here. I can't allow that. If I genuinely thought that was a mouse slip, sure. But that doesn't look like a mouse slip. That looks like they were trying to grab a check. Yeah, so they do resign, and we do win that game as well. Let's go ahead and see if I finally have a real rating. I do not. 117, we're so close. Okay, for the sake of the episode, I will try to actually get a real rating. All right, we are paired with Adrenaline again, a 2000 rated player who we've already lost to. We'll play knight to f3. Maybe this will be our chance to get some rating points back. Okay, bishop c5 seems to be the method to target f2. Obviously, if you play d4, there's not how the bishop moves. There's bishop to b4 with the free check. So queen d2 defending f2 seems to be the best way to go about defending that. Knight to e5, you'd imagine looks for this. So h3, just catching that ahead of time and stopping them from putting more pressure on f2. Ooh, they go for the sack anyways. Oh, because they're looking for knight takes e4, not knight g4. Oh, with queen to h4 to follow? That's crazy. Wait a minute. I don't think I can stop that though. Well, if I play queen to h4, I give them the free check, so I might as well move the queen over. Oh, and then knight g3? That's pretty scary looking, but survivable. Okay, this is the part where I need to remember there's one check that the opponent already has on me. They've already gotten one check. I need to keep that in mind and not forget about it. Okay, queen to e5. We need to go for a counterattack or else I'm going to get diced up here. So queen takes g7 is the obvious way to try to put pressure on the opponent's position. Of course, the rook is dropping. There's not really anything that I could have done about that. Right, and they do take it. I think taking on g7 is sort of the no-brainer move here. Forces rook to f8. Right, now I can't move this knight because of queen to h4. If I push this pawn looking for bishop to h6, there's ideas of queen to a5, but I have knight c3. So maybe that's okay? Yeah, let's go d4. I mean, we might as well go big or go home here, especially down a rook and down a check as well. Ooh, queen to e7 with the same idea, but defending the rook and maybe looking for e5 as well. Okay, knight to c3 I think follows anyways. Again, we only have 2 checks to our name, so we have to be very careful here. Actually, bishop d2, well, that's probably excessively passive, but like bishop to h6 and then castling long, I think would be worth the extra tempo spent. Queen to d6 looks for queen to g3 with a fair trade for that next check, which I don't think I'm interested in allowing. So queen to e5. I don't know if I'm giving my opponent too much leeway here. Maybe knight to e5. If they take on d4, I have check, but I don't have that third check lined up. Yeah, so queen to e5 I think is the only reasonable way I have to go about this. Go ahead and pre-move the recapture, which they do lean into. All right, down a rook and down a check. The only advantage here is that we are marginally more active than the opponent, so we have some counterattacking ideas. Our bishops can get out relatively quickly. That's pretty much the only shot we have in this position. Knight to c6. What do I do about this? Do I play here? I think that makes sense. Sure, knight to b5. Why not? Check number 1 and check number 2 I'm happy to sacrifice for. Not to mention, putting the king on a dark square means bishop g5 would be check number 3 in any situation. Okay, knight takes, so check number 1, check number 2, and then check number 3 does win us the game. Okay, that was a pretty crazy clutch up. The opponent does want a rematch, so I'm happy to accept. They're obviously a very strong player, so more than happy to get some training in playing against them. All right, knight to f3, knight to f6. So far the usual, right, and we get pawn to e5. I've been stuck styling bishop here recently. Not recently, when I played this on chess.com, it's been a good way to get the opponents out of book, and it has some kind of nasty ideas. So d4 is the natural response, but then maybe there's like knight to e4, knight takes, bishop check number 1, and then sacrifice anywhere for check number 2, and you're already looking kind of good. I mean, you're down like, what, 2 pieces, and the opponent has the entire center, but they only have 1 check left to their king, so it ends up looking kind of interesting. Okay, they do play d4. So now knight to e4. Actually, I remember the problem with this being that they can just take. So I do get knight takes f2, king takes back, but I don't get any checks there. I just lose a whole bunch of material. So maybe this plan needs a little bit of upgrading. Okay, I will take anyways. And then maybe castle out of the way in f6. Yeah, it's kind of slow, but there might be something there. Right, king takes back. Ooh, I have this. Do I give up more material? Knight takes, there's check number 1, knight goes back, and that's it. Okay, I'm not sacrificing any more material. King is gonna castle, and f6 is coming soon. All right, bishop d3, immediately lining up the sacrifice. f6 right away, or do I take a moment to shuffle the king over? Shuffling the king over seems to just allow knight g5, and that's terrifying. Well, I guess I could take though. Okay, we're shuffling the king over. It's way more passive than I would like, but hopefully the king's compromised position can make up for the fact that we're down 2 entire pieces. Okay, f6 is a no-brainer. I need to open up this file, stop this bishop from attacking my queen. Okay, the pawn does take back. Maybe I should have put some brain to it. I'm just now realizing I can't take back with either of these two. If I take with the pawn, the file is no longer open. If anything, my king gets weakened. All right, knight to e5 it is. Looking for rook takes f6, queen takes f6, and losing the queen to win the game. Oh, the pawn takes with check. That's check number 1. Oh, and I can never stop the next 2 checks. Literally no matter what I play here. If I take, there's check number 2. Obviously, I can't take back because of the queen. So if I do move back, the bishop sacks. If I move back here, the bishop, oh, everything's losing. If I move the king over, there's bishop takes with check number 2. And then again, no matter where I take, there's always check number 3. Wow, really nice find by the opponent. I don't think there's anything I can do here. I mean, I'll grant them the courtesy of delivering this absolutely insane mate that they found. That's a really nice little idea. Pretty straightforward, not super complicated, but very, very elegant. And then queen d3 sacks. Oh, get out of here. That's such a good mate. I'm gonna say amazing mate. Haha. In chat. That's insane. Bishop promotion to give the final check. Okay, let's go ahead and hop over to the profile. And finally, we have a real 3-check rating. Holy cow. Let me change to full screen here. We are only better than 89% of 3-check players. So we're going to have to easily get up possibly over 2100, being the 99th percentile. But that is more than enough 3-check for one day. If you guys did enjoy this video, please consider liking and subscribing. I will also say I've done 3-check before. So if you guys would prefer that I pursue a different variant on Lichess, I would be more than happy to give it a go. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.